Right, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending our Family Empowerment Quarterly Convening. This is our second quarterly convening of the 24 to 25 school year. Today we're focused on college readiness and family support. So I hope more folks join as we keep going with this session, but I don't want to hold anyone any longer. This is the schedule for today. I'm going to set some context, look at some best practices. We have Amy from LAWA, Latin Americans Working for Achievement, Mackenzie from College Launch, Wake Forest program, and also Katie from Carolina Youth Coalition joining us. So they will definitely share a lot of good best practices, and then also share success stories and some lessons learned. Give some time for our schools to ask more questions. Feel free to drop stuff in the chat. We will, as always, we'll have an exit ticket when we close out. So without further ado, feel free to either drop in the chat or go off of mute. Share one thing that you're looking forward to this year. It is a new year.
I'll start. I am looking forward, as I'm sure many are, to the ACT changes that are happening in April and then more widely in September. If any of y'all have seen that, where they're making the science section optional and making more time per question. That's kind of my world. I'm in academic success, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
I did not know that was happening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know.
Exciting news from the test prep front. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it warming up a little bit more. I think the spring brings a bunch of really exciting things, thinking about weather-wise, but also thinking about how it looks in students' lives, how spring is closer to the summer, and our group of seniors will have more decisions on where they're headed next. So I'm looking forward to the springtime coming just to warm up and get some great news.
I'm a little bit opposite. I'll go off of you, Mackenzie. I'm looking forward to we might be getting some snow again, maybe next week. But also I recognize it may be the season of college visits, and I love seeing all those things on social media. My brother's about to graduate from college. I graduated a while back. I don't have any kids, but it's always fun to see what colleges are doing with college tours and admissions and all those interesting things. Ms. Graham, do you want to share?
I can go next. My name is Amy Garcia. I'm with LAWA. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with us, but we have a scholarship open for Latino students, and it actually opened last December 14th. And so I'm excited for that whole application process, just to process all of the applications and learn about all of the applicants, and then to get to learn about our new cohort that will be coming in early June is when we're scheduled to have them come in. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, sounds really fun. I'm excited for you. Miss Graham, thank you for dropping in the chat. Looking forward to new experiences, new blessings, new opportunities. You're so positive. I love your energy. Kim is looking forward to all the family engagement events happening this spring. Me too, once it warms up and the sun is out a little bit longer. All right, so you all know Kim and I are part of the Shermco Foundation. We help schools with family engagement, family empowerment efforts. So these are our photos. K-Rel is part-time with us. I don't think he's here this afternoon, but he helps us with a lot of events. Can't do without him. These are our school partners for this school year. We are onboarding more schools until the end of January. So still finalizing that. Objectives for this session, our school partners will recognize how family involvement influences college readiness and then identify some of the common barriers, learn effective ways to engage families in the college preparation process, discover some tools and community partnerships to support college readiness, and hopefully identify one actionable step to strengthen family support in their schools. All right, another icebreaker to have our mindset frame. What is one piece of advice you would give a student preparing for life after high school?
I can go first. Just to truly stay flexible and explore all of your options. There's so much that you can explore as a student and especially after high school. So continuing to stay curious about what's out there, and then remembering that in order to get out something, you have to put in some work to make it happen.
I'll piggyback off that. That's great advice. I was gonna say that no one achieves their goals alone. So start building your support team of friends, mentors, advisors, family. Ask for help early and often. That's really one of the keys to success and figuring it out.
I'll add to both of those, not being scared to fail when you do explore. So if you go to explore a club and it's not, you find out that it's not particularly your groove, going and exploring a different club and, not letting that discourage you from exploring and finding your group, because you will find your group of people and your group of mentors and friends. And you'll also make new friends throughout the different years and the different classes and semesters that you make is something that you'll learn too.
Oh, wonderful advice. I guess for any advice I would give would be find yourself a mentor, but also don't be afraid to follow up, because everyone's so busy, but it is at the end of the day up to you as a person who's seeking advice, seeking help, seeking guidance, seeking support to follow up, keep reaching out, bug them, ask for help. Jadora, Kim, or Miss Graham, feel free to share or not share.
I would tell them to look into internships regardless of whether it's required or not.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. All right, some best practices. Katie, Amy, Mackenzie, please chime in. You guys are the experts here. This is what I kind of just put together. So best practices in terms of college readiness and family support. Definitely building strong relationships early. The moment they walk through the door, right? It's so important for high schools and any schools that we work with to just create welcoming environments for families so that families feel comfortable to ask for help, but as staff follow up with those families, have regular positive communication, host family nights, focus on post-secondary planning, and involve the students and not just the parents, really involve the parents and the students. So it's a group and a team together. Culturally responsive engagement, recognize that some families, they don't have college experience. They don't know what college application looks like. They don't know that you got to do some testing before you can apply for college, right? And really letting them know, like, this is the process here in America, or these are some of the processes. And even if the parent did go to college in the US, some things may have changed. Simplify the college process, so breaking down complex topics, giving them step-by-step workshops, really empower families as partners, treating families as key contributors in the college preparation process, because parents really know a lot about their kids. Creating multiple touch points. It's not just, hey, I told you one time and it needs to get done, or I just told you once and it won't get done. Really letting them know, telling them multiple times. It takes a couple times and it maybe a couple different ways, whether it's a newsletter or a text reminder or in-person events, giving them resources in different ways. It might be a handout, it might be a video, leveraging peer support, connecting families with parent mentors who have students who just gone through college or who are going through college, so that they can share some of those success stories, maybe share some shortcomings. Highlighting career and college pathways early, and that's why we see middle schools try to do this early on. That's why we really want our high school partners in our family empowerment work to understand some of these processes. And I know today's session is dedicated on college and college pathways, but there may be other pathways like apprenticeships or vocational school or trade school, right? And don't forget about those things. Collaborating with community partners. So like LAWA, like CYC, like College Launch, really partnering with local colleges, businesses, other nonprofits for support, ask for help, ask for guidance. Collecting feedback, we're data driven, so getting exit tickets, sharing more information, understanding where it is that families, where and what families want, and then applying those data points to change your programming, celebrate milestones and successes. This is big, this is fun stuff to celebrate along the way. Well, those are the best practices I can share. Now I'm gonna turn it over to Amy from LAWA, Katie from CYC, and Mackenzie from College Launch. If you all want to do a quick introduction about yourself, your role with the organization and your organizations, and then we can go into some of our Q&A or conversations about some of the things you guys want to share. If Amy, you want to start.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jia. Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Garcia. I'm the program manager at LAWA. Our mission at LAWA is to advance and further the education and the quality of life of the Latino student in the Charlotte area through our programming. And the way we do that is through our academic, cultural, and educational programs. And I work hand in hand with our program and our scholarship recipients.
I'll go next. First of all, Gia, I thought those best practices were great. I feel like aligns a lot with what we do at Carolina Youth Coalition. So I'm Katie. I'm the Director of Academic Success at CYC. We've been here in the Charlotte area since 2018. Our mission really is to work with high achieving, under-resourced students in the Charlotte area. We work with 9th through 12th graders. And we want to nurture and propel them to and through college. So the heart of how we do this is through a 10-month after school program for those 9th through 12th graders, where they do workshops around college access and college readiness. We walk them through every step of the way of how to find their best fit college, how to be a competitive college and scholarship applicant, how to finance college. And then after they make it to that milestone, we persist with them through the next 4 years of their college journey to continue giving them resources and guidance so that they can graduate on time and largely debt-free.
I'll close us out. My name is Mackenzie Wilkins, and I am the program manager of the College Launch for Leadership program. It's run in partnership with Wake Forest University. Launch is one of our pre-college programs that we offer for high school students. It's for rising juniors, so they apply as sophomores and they join us their junior year. It takes place from September to May, one Saturday a month each month. And it's really about similar things that we've all talked about already here, college exploration and preparation. So it's social justice, leadership development, and college prep for high school juniors. So we really focus on exploring different major and career pathways. We look at crafting the perfect essay, and then just also exploring college application processes. Since it is in partnership with Wake, we do a lot of partnerships with the university, but we are a program that encourages students to explore whatever college feels like the right fit for them.
Thank you all. All right, here are a lot of questions. Feel free to pick one and go off of something, or talk about something related to this, or chime in with each other. I'm gonna let you all make this as conversational as possible. If Miss Graham, since you're the only school partner here who joined, you get to ask all the questions you want. So feel free to do that.
I can jump in, just give you some insight into the demographics of families we work with. So I mentioned earlier that we're focused on high achieving, under-resourced students in the Charlotte area. That can mean a lot of things. So just for some context, close to 80% of our students, we call them fellows, since 2018 have been first generation college students. The household median income of the families that we work with is under 38,000. So definitely working with lower income families. And to the high achieving aspect, our average GPA has been about a weighted 3.6. So really working with under-resourced, low-income students and families who are very motivated and want to go through the college process, but are facing barriers around how do I pay for college and what does that college process look like? It can be a very daunting and opaque process, and we really try to break down those barriers every way we can through our workshops, starting in ninth grade. Really, as Gia, as you pointed out in your best practices earlier, really starting those conversations with both the student and the family as early as possible. So starting in ninth grade with just how do we do high school well? How do we transition from middle to high school? What does it take right now as a 9th and 10th grader to start becoming a competitive college and scholarship applicant? And then transitioning a junior and senior year to walking them every step through the process, creating, as Mackenzie mentioned, like creating a personal statement that really stands out, creating your college list, making that final decision, which is really a family decision, completing the FAFSA, walking through what all that means, really kind of removing those financial barriers and those knowledge barriers that can hinder these really high achieving students from getting into their best fit college and also going for free.
That was great. Information and insight into some of the things that you guys do at CYC that I didn't know before. So it was nice to learn some of that information. Similarly, we do some of those things to help lessen that barrier and so that they can have more information as well. So one of our main programs is high school series workshops. And so those workshops are pathway and career explorations that are offered to any high school students. But we mainly aim at the 5 counties that we serve, which are Mecklenburg, Gaston, Cabarrus, Iredell, and Union. And so the ways we also try to lessen these barriers is as well as transporting them. So trying to connect with these new schools. I did the math because I'm approaching my 2-year mark with LAWA. So I'm just now learning and connecting with all 81 schools that we can serve. And so, just trying to connect and stay connected with them and let them know that we're here and that we're a resource that's available to the students and that we're even available to come and present to the schools during lunchtime or during a family multi-language night. and just letting them know that we're here, that we have these resources, and that we also provide simultaneous translations for families and caregivers that want to join the workshops. And then we also share a little bit more about our scholarship, which is open to Latino students.
I definitely feel like we send kids your way, Amy. For those reasons. And I think, like, you made a great point when I think of barriers for schools too around doing some of these family events or workshops, like transportation can just be an immediate barrier, and we too try to oversee that barrier by offering transportation options for our fellows, and then for families, really being strategic about these kind of bigger events where we want to include the families and giving them lots of time and notice, because even that, a lot of our families work second and third shift. So giving them a lot of like time and notice to be able to participate in those things is really important.
I really appreciate how you all shared too about the demographics of your organizations and how you try to meet the needs of the family. I think similarly in how we serve a lot of the same demographics, Launch is doing the same things and trying to meet the needs of students and their parents in some different ways. Because we are only meeting once a month, we are jam-packing those days. And the way to do that is by making sure we're giving out dates ahead of time so students and families can plan ahead and make sure that we're providing access to our programming, even for parents and students that can't make it for the day. So a lot of our programming actually will take place 50% of the time on Wake Forest campus. So we run 2 cohorts throughout the year. So just like how CYC and LALA serve students in Charlotte, we do that as well, but also we serve some students in Winston-Salem. So we run 2 cohort models throughout the year. And when we're in Winston, we try to work with the university. So to also provide students and their families a little bit more exposure to a college. Wake doesn't have to be the choice for all of our scholars that go through the program, because it's a very much so a personal and family decision, as you mentioned, Katie. And we just want to make sure that students and families go in with it knowing that they have the most information they can. So one of the ways that looks different for our program is the Discover Wake Forest Day. So in every February, we offer our students and parents a chance to come to campus and learn more about the application process, but not just the Wake Forest application process, but what schools are looking for when they're going throughout all of it, and talking about financial aid and getting to speak to financial aid officers. So Launch is just really about making sure we are trying to meet every student and family's individual needs by offering programming where they can ask questions that might be personalized to themselves, but still get answers from someone that's well-versed in how to help.
This is all great information. And, I was a first generation college student, so going through the application process, having to write my personal statements, I wish I had some help. Didn't have a lot of help. And also, hey, I felt like I was lied to my entire life, that my parents were telling me, hey, if you keep your grades up, you can go to college for free. No, I had a 4.0 GPA in high school. I have a lot of student debt. So I wish, but I also don't think these programs were around during my time. So I love the support that we have in our community to provide this access to students. I'm just wondering and I mean, I think all of you guys work with students whose families may have not attended college themselves. Can you share more about, like, how do you tell families, like, hey, college financially may be scary. How do you prepare them for that preparation process? How do you let them know, like, hey, as a family, it's important to invest the time for your student to go to college?
I think just trying to start those conversations early and often, it builds up that level of trust. So we start with 9th graders. So we start to try to build that relationship. There's so much information out there and it can be so daunting. So starting to, in each grade level, like, this is what we're focused on and this is why we're focused on it. And this is what's gonna lead us to not only getting into college, but as you mentioned, like getting into college debt-free or largely debt-free, because that can feel impossible. And so I think like just breaking that down year by year, step by step, through a combination of things, it can be, as you mentioned, your best practices, regular communication that can be come in many forms, a newsletter, emails, but also strategic workshops and events that parents and families are invited into to see that process broken down, the timeline broken down. And then also we do one-on-one case management. So giving time for families to come in and meet with you individually and really talk through like, what are their concerns? What are their barriers or perceived barriers? And what guidance can we give them to overcome that?
I think that's a really good point that Katie mentioned, as well as going back to what Gia said earlier in the presentation on building rapport with the families and with the communities through these communications and through frequent and open line of communication, making sure that we're available to them if they reach out to us, or if we don't have that information, that we can somehow connect or figure out who the correct person to connect them is. Because if not, they feel that disconnect is kind of a little bit hopeless for them, and that they don't want to continue looking for how to find financial aid or how to apply for scholarships. We're a bit of a smaller team, and so we're also still transitioning and onboarding our new CEO and president. But we also try to do and manage our students that come to us one-on-one. So we host a FAFSA night throughout the year, normally when FAFSA opens. And so that one we host in partnership with CFNC, and we have Dr. Juanes Ramirez come and help us just because he has that more expertise in that specific field, and with specific situations and cases, he can provide more insight and more information on what the proper steps are, as well as connecting us and providing us with the proper information on preparing the families with adequate time. So starting not just in junior year, like Katie mentioned, but as early as possible, and starting to prepare them as early on. And so with us, with reaching out to our new partnering schools, making sure that they know we're here and sharing our resources with them on, hey, these are just some informations regarding FAFSA and how they can start preparing for 9th grade.
This also makes me think of the concept of mentorship too, and how it's such a valuable piece in this process for students and families, for students to have someone that they can talk to that's going through the process, for parents to also have a basis, whether it's staff or being able to sometimes poll other students about how it's going, like to get a read of what's going on in a college student's life or what's going on in a high school senior's life, which is something Launch also does. So while our juniors will complete the program then, they always have the opportunity to join our Youth Leadership Executive Board as seniors. So we will have a set group of seniors every year that'll serve as mentors to our current juniors. So they'll talk about what they're doing as they're applying to college. They'll talk about how their personal essay is going, because sometimes it helps to hear it from your peers. So creating some opportunities for peer mentorship for our scholars throughout the program is something we do at Launch. And then additionally, we, like you all, are a smaller team. There's about 7 of us, so we'll split up our scholars and have mentorship groups. So that's when we get one of our high school juniors to review their applications and essays throughout the year. We check in with them on grades. We offer workshops where we're available to them and their parents, but just really trying to create some more space for questions. And then that will extend as well into the college level. So since some of our Launch scholars do sometimes decide to attend Wake, offering opportunities for our Launch scholars to still come and talk to us because we are on the same campus and still a part of the same family, but also encouraging them to reach out to our current students as well that are juniors, and giving them some insight on what the process is like on the other side of the road. So after you've gotten through graduation and you've gotten your acceptance and you're starting all of these next steps. So just really trying to encourage mentorship at all of these levels is something I just thought of as well when we were talking about communication and offering opportunities early on.
That's beautiful. I wonder if our high schools should and could have some of their senior students host a panel and just talk to other students about, or even juniors, like talk about testing, and seniors can talk about the application process, and sophomores can talk about like, how do you succeed as a freshman? Because the common misconception is that freshman year doesn't count, when it does very much count. We know those grades go on your transcript and it matters. If you all want to share like a success story or an example that stands out to you.
I'll share a story that our previous executive director, Ana Rey, shared with me when I was first coming onto my role in about March of 2023. I wasn't able to attend the workshop because I was past my time. But it was that previous October at Queen's University, we hosted our annual high school series, and the topic there is financial aid and the admissions process. So this one is a very huge success for a lot of our families and our students because they can go and ask a lot of these questions. And we had a young girl attend with her parents, her mother, and she was very unhopeful arriving. She came in just more attending because her mother had heard about our workshops and she thought that it was a good opportunity to learn about some information. But then she was listening to the information we were presenting and to the information that the admissions officers were presenting, and it encouraged her to apply after hearing from our student panelists, because we also try to invite our LAWA scholarship recipients to go back and speak at our high school series workshops and kind of give them some words of encouragement, some tips on how to apply for scholarships, how to apply for the LAWA scholarship, as well as some tips for incoming freshmen and the new transition that you'll be facing in this next stage of your life. And so through those encouragement, she found the ability and encouragement to apply for admissions to Queens. And through that admissions and connecting with everyone there, she actually got into Queens. But not only that, they went ahead and gave her a full ride. And so she went ahead and emailed our executive director, and she let her know that she wasn't going to be applying for the LAWA scholarship, which was unfortunate because she wanted to be a part of the LAWA community and the LAWA scholars, but that she did want to share that Queens gave her a full ride and that she was going to be able to attend debt-free. And she wasn't even thinking about going to college before attending this workshop. And so that always comes to mind when I think of success stories and LAWA, as well as like the full circle moment with having our new CEO and president, Daniela Isurieta, because she was also a LAWA scholarship recipient a couple of years ago, like 10, 15 years ago. So yeah.
That's awesome. We're younger than you, Amy's, because we started in 2018, so we're just now starting to experience some of that. We're having college fellows that are now graduating college, and then they're coming back and like pouring back into CYC, like doing an internship with us or becoming mentors themselves. So that's a really cool moment when you get old enough that you start to see that like those full circle moments. But when I for the success part, I think overall about like, right, currently 74% of CYC fellows are attending college completely debt-free, which is kind of more broader picture. But I think a lot of those examples come out of those one-on-one meetings we have, where especially the ones about making that final college decision, and seeing like that process get made with our parents. And then right now at CYC, we have this phenomenon where as we're entering like freshmen and sophomores, we're noticing a lot of last names that we know. And it's because we have siblings and cousins and the younger brother. And at this point, sometimes we've had three siblings go through our program. And that to me like really speaks to the success of those moments, that those families want to keep reinvesting with us and choosing CYC because they saw that process with their eldest child, and then they trust us to like keep going through the process with us with like their younger siblings. So I feel like a lot of that speaks to what becomes like those larger, you know, stats.
I think one that stands out for me that is launch specific is one of our students who's probably a junior in college now. She went through the program during the COVID year, which we all know is a tough time for high school students and trying to navigate online learning and preparing for the process. But this is a student who really enjoyed launch for the opportunities it showed her that she could grow as a leader and just become better prepared for her future. So through launch, she was able to learn more about leadership. We do a community service and action project every year that our scholars complete. And that really encouraged her to learn more about issues in her community and ways she could take action. And all of that really just helped her to feel more empowered to apply for Waken, where she now attends and is a president of the BSA there. So just really thinking about how Launch is one of those programs that can help students, even in a small asynchronous way, when we think about how so much had to happen online and not in person, but the idea of these touch points really making a difference in student and families' lives. I think our launch scholars are all future forward in the sense that they continue on to a career or some type of post-secondary education, which is really amazing. But just thinking about the student particularly is one example of how Launch does a good job of implementing college prep, but also leadership development because it's skills that will help you later on.
Thank you all for sharing those success stories. Oh my gosh, that I my heart just feels so warm hearing all those success stories. It makes me feel like the world will become a better place because you all have set up students to lead a better tomorrow, and it just makes me feel so good. So thank you all for sharing that. One last question before we start wrapping up. Any advice you would give to other educators, high school staff specifically, on like working to improve their college, like just college process, or like how would you, what advice would you give to a high school teacher on about college preparation?
One I might share is just continuing to ask organizations and communities, groups to come visit and share the knowledge they have. I think that it could create a little bit of extra time in your day for you to complete some planning or get things done, and also provide students with a chance to meet who else is out in their community doing the work and start some of that really early on networking that could help them later on.
I really, yeah, Mackenzie said it. I think I know a lot of the CMS teachers, and man, they are doing the work and it's a lot. And I think just realizing like they have support within their community to like come in and do some of these things for them. And also just the more they're aware of these different programs, like even what we see on the panel today, to even when they themselves can't fill the gaps, they can, Amy pointed this out earlier, point them in a direction of someone who can. I think, you know, even at CYC, we don't always have all the answers or every support that a fellow may need, but we can point them in the direction and help them get to where they need to go. And I think the same for schools, like relying on your community and your community organizations to come help you and support you.
I think Mackenzie and Katie said it really well and summed it up really well. Just communicating with one another as a community within teachers, because I know that that communication is its own, and they have communication within their own school, so they know their own community partners, but not being scared or shy to share those community partners with other teachers and other schools, just so that we have some contact with them. Because even as a community organization, I'm still learning about different partners and organizations and different things that they do and how they can support our community. And in return, I'm able to share back about these orgs at our workshops and when we go do scholarship presentations, letting the family families and the parents know, hey, we're available. This is what we do in the programmings we provide. But if it's not what you're looking for, these are some additional resources that I know of that you can look for and that they might be able to support you.
Amazing. Thank you all. Yes, the community is there. Tap into them. Reach out to these folks. Ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask each other for more help. Because we're all there, we're all here. Thank you. I think Miss Graham's kind of busy, so I'm not going to ask her to share a success story, but available resources, we have college planning tools. These are just some of the things I found. So Katie, Amy, Mackenzie, feel free to drop stuff in the chat. I will be sure to link it when I send our schools this. Feel free to go off of mute if you want to talk more about your own programs.
I was gonna say I love the college essay guide blog. If you have students who are in that essay world, that is a great resource. If they don't have access to, at CYC we do like writing workshops, or I know at the at college launch y'all are working with them on that, but I love that resource for students. And I think there are like workshops out there, I think especially with some of these more daunting things that can seem really knowledge heavy, like financial aid and FAFSA. At CYC, we do those workshops where we're breaking it down step by step. But I think the more you can rely on those other resources out there to like point your families to, is really helpful.
Thank you.
I'll share in the chat links to our high school series workshops, as well as the link to our scholarship application process. Just feel free to share with your networks, with anyone that you think might benefit from the programs. And then likewise, if you have any links or anything that you'd like to share afterwards, I'd love to share them with our community as well.
Thank you. And thank you, Amy, for dropping the links on the chat. I will be sure to include those in the notes when I send it to schools.
I'll also share a link that we have on our launch website just with some resources. And then just another brief plug, the college launch application's open for rising juniors. So that's anyone that's a sophomore right now. We'd love to have students apply to join our cohort in the fall. To spend one Saturday a month with us learning more about college prep, social justice, and leadership.
Thank you.
Mackenzie, I was on your website today and I saw one of our fellows, Bobby Forrest.
We love Bobby.
Who does it? And I was like, this program's perfect. Leadership, that's Bobby. Yep.
He's grown as a leader in so many amazing ways. Yes.
This is so great. All right. We do have an exit ticket for panelists. You don't need to complete the exit ticket, but this is more for the schools who join us. We just want to gather more data to understand so that we can better plan the next quarterly convening. We do have our third quarterly convening. It's about spring break and family learning time. So this is going to be in March. So hopefully more folks can join us then. Other than that, thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Jia. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, I was trying to figure out how to stop recording. I'm still trying to figure out how to stop recording. There we go.